Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm back with my releases videos. These have been hit or miss all year long. I acknowledge it. I'm aware. We're doing it for July. That's what we're here for. So there are some good titles coming out in July. It's not like one of the big release months, but it's a pretty good month still. Like there's still some titles that I am very hyped about. So as always, I'm going to run through the really big titles, the really big sequels, and then I'm going to talk about 5 titles more in depth that I personally am really excited about. They might not be like super well-known ones, or they might be, and I just might be very excited and want to talk about them. So that's how this video is going. Let's get into the big ones and the sequels first. So getting into big household names that are not necessarily sequels, or just big releases from big titles, we have the new Riley Sager book coming out on July 2nd. This is Lock Every Door. We're going with a pink scheme on this one apparently. And on the 9th of July, we're getting Casey West's new book. She pumps out like multiple books a year, and this is her latest one. It is called Maybe This Time. I'm sure it's going to be fluffy YA romance contemporary because that's what she's the best at. Okay, and then moving into sequels, I'm going to try and go chronologically. So starting on the 2nd of July, which apparently is going to be the big release date. We're getting like early month releases this time. We have Immunity by Erin Bowman. This is the sequel to Contagion, which came out last year. We also have Queen of Ruin by Tracy Banghart. This is a sequel to Grace and Fury, also coming out on the 2nd. I'm pretty excited about this one. That was a fun ride of a book. On the 11th of July, we're getting Heartstopper Volume 2 by Alice Oseman. This is an adorable graphic novel series. The first bind up came out last year, and this is volume 2. I can't wait to get my hands on it. It is the cutest male YA contemporary graphic novel story that you ever did read. It's so precious. So this is coming on the 11th. On the 16th, I'm moving into the romance genre. We have The Wedding Party by Jasmine Guillory. This is the 3rd book of like companion novels that she's been releasing. Really good, really fun, lighthearted, diverse romances. Big fan. So this is coming out on the 16th of July. Moving 1 week further, on the 23rd of July, we're getting Soul of Stars by Ashley Poston. This is the sequel to Heart of Iron, which came out last year, which has an awesome cover. It was Anastasia in space. This is the follow-up to it. And finally, if I'm not mistaken, this book has been bumped back so many times. I'm pretty sure at the very end of July, on the 30th of July, we're finally getting Dark Age by Pierce Brown. This is the sequel to Iron Gold, which is technically book 5 set in the Red Rising universe. It's like his second trilogy set in that world, if that makes sense. But I feel like it already got bumped back. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure this has been bumped so many times. It was supposed to release in February. It was supposed to release at the beginning of July. Then the latest date that I've seen is July 30th. We'll see if we get it. I'm hoping so. Moving into the 5 titles that I am personally most excited about. I'm kind of covering all genres this time around. There's just like releases coming out all over the place that I'm excited about. So going chronologically, I'm pretty sure all of these are coming out either on the 2nd or the 9th, like the first 2 Tuesdays of July. So prepare your wallets. It's gonna happen real quick in July. So the first book that I want to talk about is We Walked the Sky by Lisa Fiedler. I just got this at ALA. I just started it last night. I'm like 20 pages in, so I can't give you like full thoughts on it yet. But this was one of my most anticipated releases of the year because this is everything that I look for in a book. So far, the writing is pretty good. I'm 20 pages in, so I can't really like speak volumes on this book. But basically, this is a like a multi-generational story about a traveling circus. I'm hooked. Like, circus buzzword. So this is taking place in 1965. We're following Victoria when she is 17 years old, and she basically runs away from an abusive household to join this traveling circus. And then we are also following 50 years later, we're following her granddaughter who is 16 and has been living the life in this traveling circus. Like for the past couple generations, her family has stayed in this traveling circus, and she is like the star of the show. She is the high wire tightrope walker of the show, and she has just been living her dream doing this. Like, what teenager wouldn't want to be in a traveling circus? Probably a lot, but I mean, I would. That would be amazing. So basically, the story is following Victoria in 1965 as she runs away and joins the circus, and then fast forward to present day. This is also following Callie, who is now leaving the circus because her mother, the daughter of our previous person, is leaving the traveling show to work at an animal sanctuary in Florida. This has all of my buzzwords in it. Like, this has everything. It's multi-generational, it's traveling circus, it's animal sanctuary. I'm hooked. Everything about this book, I am sold on it. So basically, we're following Callie as her mom and her are leaving the circus, and she's having to like uproot her life and actually settle down for the first time ever, and she's not dealing with it too well. So I'm so excited because we're following a girl who's like being ripped out of the circus that she loves, and we're following a girl who is leaving like a horrible situation to join the circus. And I'm like, do I need to join the circus? Is that what this book is telling me? I can't wait. So this is coming out on July 2nd. I'm gonna try and read it in the next like 2 days so that I can talk about it in my wrap up and give you guys my thoughts on it. So far so good. Like I said, 20 pages though. Can't really judge it yet. The next book is The Beckoning Shadow by Catherine Blair. This is also coming out on the 2nd. And this just sounds so unique and so dark and twisty, and I am on board for it. So this is following Vesper. She is our protagonist, and she has the ability to basically draw out people's worst fears and turn them into a reality. That's what the synopsis says. I don't know how literal that means, but I take it to mean pretty literal. That's an extremely dangerous power to have and would be crazy awesome to wield, but it can also lead to a lot of consequences. So she has basically come to this point in her life and has realized how hard it is to have a power like that. It's very addicting to be able to control things like that. And you can also break people and ruin people's lives with that sort of power. So I think she's got a lot weighing on her chest. Obviously, I probably would if I could do that to people too. So she earns a spot in the Tournament of Unraveling. It's basically a competition that says its ability is to rewrite the past. Again, how literal does that mean? I don't really know, but she basically sees this as a chance to be able to undo all of the things that she's done to people in the past and like try and alleviate some of her grief over whatever she might have caused. And while she's at this competition, she, I'm guessing a romance starts to occur with an MMA fighter who has a really messed up past, and she has the ability to kind of like rewrite it and help him through it, but it might break her heart in the process. It sounds like there's gonna be a lot of emotional turmoil in this book, and I am here for it. So this one is also coming out on the 2nd. It just sounds dark and twisty and very unique. Like those are some unique concepts being thrown at us. The cover is amazing. I can't wait to get my hands on this. So the next book that is releasing on the 2nd of July is moving more into the contemporary vein, and that is Symptoms of a Heartbreak by Sona Charapatra, and I can't wait to read this. I think it's going to be emotional, it's going to be fun, it's going to be all of the things that I look for in a contemporary. So in this book, our protagonist is Syra, I believe is how you say it, and she is a 16-year-old medical student prodigy. She is the youngest doctor in America, and she is working at a hospital, and I was like, sold. Anything in the medical field is very interesting to me, especially any sort of like prodigy type of student or person, and she is the youngest licensed doctor. That sounds fascinating. So it's basically her story trying to earn her place and prove her worth in this hospital that are filled with doctors who are obviously twice, sometimes 3 times her age in this, and her mother works at this hospital as well, so that also is just adding fuel to the fire for all of her coworkers to kind of like shun her or not give her good opportunities. So she is struggling, but she has also earned her place there and she deserves to be there. So she is working at this hospital and she is working with childhood cancer. So this is going to be an emotional story. So we basically are following her as she navigates all of this, and I'm sure we're going to deal with some heartbreak and some horrible things. I mean, the book is called Symptoms of a Heartbreak, and I believe she ends up starting to fall for one of her patients who has cancer. It's going to be heartbreaking, but it looks so good. It's described as like a rom-com, but I'm sure I'm gonna get very teary-eyed in this rom-com. I'm basically completely sold on this. This author also co-authored the Tiny Pretty Things duology with Danielle Clayton a long time ago, and this is her debut solo book, and I'm just so excited to read it. It looks so good. Moving into July 9th, we're up a week now for the rest of the releases that I want to talk about. The next book I want to talk about, oh gosh, I have a bookmark, hold on. My bookmark matches this book perfectly though, so I had to leave it on. I am currently reading Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This book is a ride. So I'm about halfway through it, so I can't like give you final thoughts on this book, but oh man guys, look out for this book. The writing is so different. So this is kind of a horror feminist novel. That's a term that keeps getting thrown around in the YA world and I'm living for it. So this basically takes place at a boarding school on an island that a ferocious disease basically swept through, and they were put under quarantine by the CDC, and they have been cut off from outside communication. Every now and then they get supply drops from ships to like give them food and everything, but basically It's an all-girls school on this island. All of the students and the teachers have been infected by this disease, and they are basically just trying to survive. And it is gruesome, and Dark Little Me is loving it. The writing is super unique in this. It's very blunt. The sentences are very short and very present tense, so you're like in the moment with all of these people while they're going through all of these crazy things. A lot of the like disease symptoms are bizarre. Like our main character, her eyes just start bleeding because they're trying to grow a third eyelid. One of her friends has developed a second spine that is growing out of her back, and all of the symptoms are just as gruesome as that. Like, they get real gross with the detail, so if you are a little weak-hearted when it comes to really gory things in horror books, maybe stay away from this one. But Dark Little Me is like, bring it on. This is so messed up. I love it. So basically, they are surviving on this island with their teachers, and they have all been taught like survival skills. Like they're all taught to sharpshoot because all of the animals on this island also got infected, and they are all just attacking each other and killing everybody. And that is the basic premise of the story, and we are following one of her friends when she goes missing. She goes beyond the barrier of the school, and our protagonist goes after her and kind of starts to uncover the truth of what's happening and where this disease came from and why are they all so contagious and infected with it. I am loving it. As of right now, I'm gonna tell you to pick it up because the writing is just like so good. If you're into really dark stories, definitely keep an eye out for this one. The last book that I want to talk about also comes out on July 9th, and that is Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lim. This looks amazing. This is described as Project Runway meets Mulan, and I was like, sign me the hell up because that sounds great. So this is an Own Voices Chinese-inspired fantasy story about a girl who dreams of being a royal tailor, but the only issue with that is you have to be a boy to do that. So she disguises herself as a boy and puts herself in the running amongst 12 other competitors to become the royal tailor, and there is backstabbing and lies and treachery afoot. It sounds awesome. Pretty sure she makes it pretty far into the competition. I mean, it's a YA story. We're gonna assume she makes it as far as possible. And of course, she's going to start to uncover a lot of the secrets that are in the royal court, and things are not as they seem. You're getting so many really unique, really well done Asian-inspired fantasy stories by own voice authors, and I'm just living for it. They all sound amazing. This is just one to add to the list that I'm like really on board for. It looks amazing. The cover's beautiful. July 9th is when we can get this one. So that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next one.